Hello and welcome to Troye Talk, a podcast going through the entire discography of Australian pop sensation Troye Sivan, one song at a time. And in this very first episode, we are going to take a look at his very first single, Happy Little Pill. Stay tuned and thanks for listening. Do Troye Sivan fans have, like, a name? You know how Justin Bieber has Beliebers, and Justin Timberlake has the TN Kids, Lady Gaga has her Little Monsters, BTS have the Army, and so on. I was trying to come up with a good intro for the podcast and thought it would be endearing if I refer to all you listeners as whatever the fandom calls itself. But not only did I not know what that was, it turns out such a name does not exist. I looked into it, and apparently, on the Philippines, Troye fans are called baby beans. There are some who say it's munchkins or Sivanians, which sounds like a race from Star Trek. But there doesn't seem to be an agreed-upon term, so I decided to come up with one. My personal recommendation would be Spuds, because it is a kind of reference to both one of Troye's most famous songs, Bloom, as well as the slightly less well-known South African coming-of-age film trilogy Spud, in which Troye played the main character. I think I'm just going to start using it from now on and hope it catches on. How do you do, fellow Spuds? Nailed it. My name is Yogi. I'm 21 years old, I live in Germany, my pronouns are he, him, and I have been a Troye Sivan fan for only about 2 years now, which is not that long ago, considering that his Wikipedia says he's been active as a musician for like 14 years. At the risk of discrediting myself even further, I'm also going to point out that not only have I only been a fan for 2 years, I also don't own any of his albums or singles or any kind of merchandise, and yet here I am making a podcast entirely devoted to his great body of work. That's right, this is a professional podcast, no thirsting. Okay, maybe a little bit of thirsting. In fact, if it wasn't for thirst, this podcast might have never been made. In 2018, the YouTube algorithm slowly started to catch on to the fact that I was a queer and recommended me this Vogue video wherein Troye Sivan breaks down his makeup routine. Now, this was during Troye's platinum blonde phase, mind you, so naturally I was like, who is this perfect human specimen in the thumbnail and why have I never heard of them? And I clicked the video. And yeah, I was pretty much doomed from then on. The hair, the accent, I had to find out who this person was, and so I typed the name into the YouTube search bar. This was the year Troye's song Bloom came out, so the music video was the first result. I had to pause and restart watching from the beginning at least 3 times due to sensory overload. If you've seen the video, you'll know why. But yeah. After I watched Bloom, I basically fell down the rabbit hole, and now here I am, 2 years later, making a podcast. But why a podcast? Well, one of the reasons I don't really own anything that would mark me as a Troye Sivan fan, or a Spud, if you want, or a Sivanian, is the fact... so bad, is the fact that, very much like certain other things about myself, I try not to have some of my friends and family find out about it, because I'm ashamed, which is so dumb. If you love something, that means it's part of who you are, and you should own that shit. And that's why I'm going to go through Troye Sivan's entire discography, giving each song the attention and praise it deserves, starting with Happy Little Pill. Troye Sivan Mellet, or Malay? I don't know. Troye Sivan Mellet was gifted to the world on June 5th, 1995, making him 3 years older than me, which is a totally acceptable age difference. Call me. He was born... What? Who said that? He was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. Quick aside, sorry this has nothing to do with Troye, but 1995 was only 1 year after apartheid ended, which is crazy. There's people below the age of 30 who remember apartheid. The world sucks. Anyway, Troye might have been born in South Africa, but he grew up in Perth, Australia. I'm so sorry. In Perth, Australia, which, as a friend of mine who is from there told me, is a land where it regularly rains spiders. What? His family was Orthodox Jewish. His dad was from a Jewish family, and his mom converted, which is cute. And he went to the Carmel School, which is a modern Orthodox school. He does, however, not consider himself to be religious. You and me both, buddy. We have so much in common. Call me. What? Who's? He was also homeschooled for a bit, which I find interesting, because homeschooling is kind of illegal in Germany, and it's always kind of associated with like weirdo religious nutjob parents and like screwed up kids. But he turned out all right, I guess. He got his start in the music biz, appearing on the Channel 7 Perth Telethon in 2006, 2007, and 2008. In 2007, he also made it to the finals of Star Search, being only 12 years old at the time. So talented! That same year, he also released his first extended play, or EP for short, which is, I think, the same as an album, only that it's like not an album? I don't know. It was called Dare to Dream, which had a bunch of cover songs on it, I think. He continued being an awesome little human, and in 2009 released a song called For Them, to raise money to help homeless children. Okay, I know this episode is about Happy Little Pill, but I gotta read you some of these lyrics. Yesterday I heard the news that 4 million Russian children are homeless. They've been abandoned by the people they trust. Now their cold and lonely lives are hopeless. Children of the world are dying. People say they care. They're lying. If this life was theirs, they'd be crying. Is it really fair? We're not trying. Oh my God. Listen, he wrote this when he was like 14 years old, okay? And I'm not even sure if he wrote it at all. I hope he did, because those lyrics are terrible. But yeah, it was to save the kids. So cut him some slack. In 2010, he opened We Are the World 25, Haiti, which was a collaborative charity video to raise money for victims of the 2010 Haiti earthquake. I hate when celebs do shit like this. Just give them your money, you self-indulgent weirdos. Not you, Troye, you're cool. You were literally a child. He was signed on by EMI Australia, a proper label, in 2013, but sneakily hid it from the world for like a year. In 2014, I should really start getting used to saying 2014. I'm German. It's the second language. In 2014, he released TRXYE, Troye. What's wrong with the letter O? The album, his first album, debuted on at number 1 on iTunes in over 55 countries. Get it, Troye! And of course, oh my God, it debuted on iTunes and number 1 on iTunes in over 55 countries, and of course contained his first ever single, Happy Little Pill. The song was written by Troye himself, as well as Brandon Rogers and Tat Tong. Upon release, it received widespread critical acclaim, many outlets praising its mature sound and themes. Platform described its lyricism as profound. Mike Wass, writing for Idolator, called it surprisingly dark. Now, obviously for copyright reasons I can't play you the song, but what I can do is read the lyrics out loud, all dramatically, like the poetry they goddamn are. In the crowd, alone, and every second passing reminds me I'm not home. Bright lights and city sounds are ringing like a drone. Unknown, unknown. Oh, glazed eyes, empty hearts, buying happy from shopping carts. Nothing but time to kill, sipping life from bottles. Tight-skinned bodyguards, Gucci down the boulevard, cocaine, dollar bills, and my happy little pill. Take me away, dry my eyes, bring color to my skies. My sweet little pill, take my hunger, light within, numb my skin. I went a little Dr. Seuss there for a sec. This is not happy at all. Happy Little Pill sounds like something that Bob Ross might mumble while he's painting a pharmacy. Instead, it turns out to be a reference to drug addiction. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take this thing line by line. in the crowd alone. Troye himself said that the song is about loneliness and the different ways that people cope with the things that are going on in their lives. Kind of vague. The first line really captures the idea of loneliness, to feel like you're alone, even in a crowd. It suggests that there is nothing you can do to not feel alone, not even surrounding yourself with other people, which for most people is the opposite of being alone. And every second passing reminds me I'm not home. Everyone loves being home. Home is familiar. Home is where your cat lives. And when we are in strange places, places we do not wish to be, where do we wish we were instead? Whoever is singing this song is clearly not enjoying themselves at all, unable to think about anything other than the fact that they are not in a place where they feel safe. Bright lights and city sounds are ringing like a drone, unknown. We keep building the sense of unease and discomfort. Flashing lights, loud droning noises. This person is clearly not vibing. They feel estranged from their environment, from the city and the crowd. Unknown. It's all bad. It sucks. Oh, glazed eyes, empty hearts, buying happy from shopping carts. We continue our stroll down Sad Street, adding to the sense of isolation and estrangement, with allusions to teary eyes and an empty heart. This person isn't just feeling sad, this is advanced sadness. They feel literally nothing at all. Luckily, you can't see it, but I'm doing quotations with my fingers. Luckily, happiness is apparently something that can be bought from shopping carts. Looking over the next couple of lines, however, we realize that it's not happiness that is being purchased, but a bunch of substances who offer a very poor substitute to happiness. Numbness, sipping life from bottles, cocaine, dollar bills. And then, of course, there is the titular Happy Little Pill. As I mentioned earlier, Troye Sivan said that Happy Little Pill is about loneliness and the different ways that people cope with the things that are going on in their lives, and that he wrote this song while one of his friends was having a hard time. A lot of people think that Happy Little Pill is about antidepressant addiction, which would certainly fit with what I talked about earlier, the sense of loneliness and estrangement, and this notion of not feeling, having an empty heart. This happy pill is supposed to dry those glazed eyes and bring color to the skies, to numb the skin. Personally, I don't think there's anything in the lyrics to suggest that the song is specifically about antidepressants. Antidepressants can be a useful tool when dealing with the kind of depression that the person in this song is dealing with. In my opinion, it's about a more unhealthy coping strategy. Drug addiction in general, this idea of numbing pain with different substances like cocaine and alcohol. The line, buying happy from shopping carts, could be a reference to over-the-counter drugs, which can be addictive and used to overdose on. Part of why I wanted to make this podcast is because a lot of Troye's songs reference elements of queer culture, which is something I like to talk about and discuss. We don't know who this person close to Troye was that inspired this song, or about their sexual orientation and gender identity, but it is a sad fact that depression is an illness that affects queer youth at higher rates than their straight peers. They are also more likely to report high levels of drug abuse. Addiction and depression, when left untreated, can often lead to self-harming behavior and suicidality, which is also something that queer people, and especially queer youth, struggle with at much higher rates than the average population. The lyric "numb my skin," I think, could be a reference to suicidality and self-harm. The COVID-19 pandemic has robbed many LGBTQIA youths of much-needed support networks, of the ability to attend self-help groups or meet with like-minded supportive friends. Many are cooped up at home, often forced to live with homophobic or transphobic parents. I personally was going to attend my first ever Christopher Street Day last year. It's like the German version of Gay Pride. And I also regularly attended a queer youth group that, due to the pandemic, has been shut down for over a year now. As a consequence, I have lost contact with many of the friends I was starting to make there, and it has been a real burden on my soul not to have that 2-hour-a-week period where I can feel like I can be my most authentic self. It is important to be reminded of the mental toll that lockdown has taken on all of us, not just LGBTQIA people. There are a lot of happy little pills being advertised out there, and it can be really tempting to fall for one of these substances that will dry your eyes and numb your skin for an hour or a day. But in the end, what I get away from this song is that we should seek healthier ways to deal with the big sad, and with the vaccines rolling out and self-testing gear becoming commercially available, it finally looks like there's a shiny gay rainbow of hope on the horizon. Phew! That was some heavy stuff right there, but that is part of what I like about Troye's work. He deals with some really deep, difficult issues. I know that this is episode 1 and no one's listening to this, but on the off chance that there's someone out there who is struggling with any of the things I discussed in this podcast, please know that I put a bunch of links in the description that might help you. Additionally, you can find links to my Twitter and YouTube in the description. Make sure to follow and subscribe. There is also a link to my Anchor page, where you can find a bunch of links to places where you can listen to this podcast, like Spotify or Google Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening and for supporting the show, and of course thank you to Troye Sivan, I know you're listening buddy, for all the wonderful songs and Instagram posts of you posing with cute puppies and all that stuff. I appreciate it. It's helping me getting through these dark, dark times. Oh my god. And with that, we have made it to the end of this inaugural episode of Troye Talk. I hope you enjoyed it, and will join me again for episode 2, where I will be discussing the song Paper Cut. Till then, stay healthy, stay beautiful, and goodbye.